Here's the thing nobody warned you about. If you went back to the very beginning of a love-bombing relationship, week 1, week 2, before everything went sideways, and you put both people's brains in an fMRI scanner, the person being love-bombed and someone falling into genuine, healthy love, the scans would look almost identical. The same dopamine circuits lighting up, the same reward pathways firing. Helen Fisher's neuroimaging research on romantic love showed that the same brain systems real early attraction activates are the ones love-bombing targets. Which means your internal alarm system, the one you've always trusted to tell you when something's wrong, it's offline, during the exact window when you need it most. So just trust your gut is actually terrible advice here, because in the early stages, your gut is running on dopamine, and dopamine doesn't care whether what it's responding to is real. But here's what's actually useful. There are signals, specific observable signals that show up early, before the neurochemical bonding goes deep, before you're already in it. They don't require you to feel anything different. They require you to watch something specific. That's what we're breaking down, one signal at a time. If you can't trust the feeling, what can you trust? You trust what you can observe. And the first thing to watch for is intensity that has no relationship to actual shared experience. Here's what that looks like. 3 or 4 dates in, you haven't seen this person handle a single stressful situation. You haven't disagreed about anything meaningful. You haven't seen how they treat a waiter, talk about their family, handle a bad day. And yet, they already know you're the one. Already talking about the future. Already using words like soulmate. Already acting like the relationship is settled before it's really begun. And it feels incredible. Being chosen that completely, that fast, by someone that confident, hits something deep. Especially if you've been through relationships where you felt unseen. But pause and look at the math. Their certainty is enormous. Their actual knowledge of you is tiny. Those two things don't add up, and that gap is your first observable signal. The intensity arrives fully formed on day 1 and doesn't grow. It just pushes for commitment before anything real has been built. Set a small boundary and watch what happens next. Not a confrontation, just a calm, low-stakes no. Tell them you need a quiet night to yourself. Say you'd like to slow the texting down. Let them know you're not ready to meet their friends yet. Normal, reasonable stuff. Then, watch. A person who genuinely respects you adjusts. Keeps showing up with the same warmth, just at your pace. A person operating from a need for control gets combative. Guilt trips you. Makes you feel like you did something wrong for simply saying what you need. Genuinely interested people handle friction just fine. People who need control don't. You tell someone you want a quiet night. A secure person says, "Totally, let me know when you're free." A love bomber shows up anyway, calls it a surprise. And when you look uncomfortable, suddenly you're the ungrateful one. Your completely reasonable need just became evidence of your problem. That flip, where your boundary becomes your flaw, is textbook. There's something else the boundary test reveals. If setting that small boundary fills you with anxiety, if you spend the next 2 hours worried about whether they're upset, the power dynamic is already off. After a few weeks, you should be able to say, "I need some space tonight," to someone you've just started seeing without your stomach dropping. There's a difference between being watched and being known. And once you feel it, you cannot unfeel it. Being watched looks like this. They respond to everything you post within minutes. They remember details about you, mostly the flattering ones, the ones that fit the version of you they've built in their head. Their questions stay on the surface or steer conversations back to how amazing you are, how different you are from everyone else. But notice what's missing. Real curiosity. The kind that asks how you actually handled the hardest thing that ever happened to you, not just what happened. that wants to know how you think about conflict or money or your complicated family, not because those things are romantic, but because they're real. Therapist Annie Wright puts it this way: genuine attention asks questions that deepen over time. Love bombing attention is different. It's more like being surveilled than being known. One is collecting information to understand you. The other is collecting information to manage you. Here's the gut check. In your last few conversations, did you walk away feeling like something real landed, or mostly flattered, seen in a very specific, curated way? Flattery feels good. Being genuinely understood feels quieter. Sometimes slightly uncomfortable, because someone actually seeing you means they see the complicated parts too. When your phone lights up with their name, what physically happens in your body? Not the story you tell yourself. What actually happens? Does your chest open up? Is there warmth, a genuine ease? Or a spike, something that feels like excitement but sits slightly tense, slightly urgent, like you need to respond immediately or something bad will happen? Those two things feel similar. They are not the same. Genuine affection from a person who is actually safe tends to produce calm in the nervous system. Not boring, not flat, grounded. You look forward to seeing them without it feeling urgent. There's warmth without the edge. Love bombing produces a dopamine spike, and spikes come with crashes. Message arrives, rush, respond, wait, the waiting feels awful, next message, rush again. And at some point, that cycle starts feeling like passion, like proof the connection is real. But what you're describing is anxiety. And anxiety dressed up as excitement is one of the oldest tricks the nervous system plays on us. Sit quietly for a second. When you think about this person, does your body feel open or braced? Do you feel like you can breathe around them, or like you're always slightly holding your breath? You don't need to analyze the answer. You just need to be honest about what it is. Love bombers don't just flood you with attention. They quietly shrink your world. And it almost never looks like control at first. It looks like devotion. They want all your time because they can't get enough of you. They get a little quiet when you cancel plans to see your sister. They text constantly when you're out with friends, not aggressively, just enough that you're checking your phone every 20 minutes at dinner instead of actually being present. And slowly, without anyone making a dramatic announcement, your other relationships start getting less of you. Not because anyone took them away, because there's genuinely not much left over. And it feels like love. Someone who wants all of you, who gets sad when you're somewhere else. That reads as passion. Most of us have been told our whole lives that the person who loves you most is the one who can't stand to be without you. But here's what the people around you are watching with brains that aren't flooded with dopamine. They're watching how you talk about this person, noticing you've canceled on them 3 times in 6 weeks, clocking the slight anxiety that crosses your face when your phone buzzes before you even check who it is. They're picking up on everything your reward system is actively filtering out. So if the people who've known you the longest, with no agenda, no reason to want this to fail, are expressing concern, don't immediately defend. Ask them specifically what they're seeing. Then sit with it, away from the texts, away from the rush. Isolation always feels like intimacy from the inside. Your people are not the ones missing something. Your clarity is just temporarily offline. And the kindest thing you can do for yourself right now is borrow theirs. I don't want you walking away from this thinking every person who texts you a lot is dangerous, or every fast-moving connection is a trap. Living guarded against everything isn't protection. It's a different kind of damage. The most fundamental difference is one word: consistency. Not intensity, consistency. Love bombing brings maximum intensity early and doesn't grow, it just pushes. Genuine attraction deepens because things have actually happened between you. The feelings track the experience. They grow alongside it. Here's the thing that matters most. Around a person who genuinely likes you, not the idealized version of you, the actual you. You feel calm. Not flat, not bored. Calm. Still excited, still butterflies. But underneath it, a steadiness. A sense that you can exhale. That you can be complicated, imperfect, real. And that'll be enough. That feeling is what you're looking for. Know it by name so you recognize it when it shows up. We opened this video with a brain scanner. Two people, one falling into something real, one being manipulated, and no visible difference between them. Same circuits, same dopamine, no warning light, nothing. That's not hopeless. That's why these signals exist. Intensity that outpaces evidence, a disproportionate reaction to a small boundary, attention that surveils instead of seeks, a body that braces instead of settles, a world that slowly, quietly gets smaller. None of these require you to feel differently. They just require you to look, deliberately, with a part of your attention you've chosen to keep clear. The people who get pulled deepest into love bombing aren't the ones who felt too much. They're the ones who never got this information early enough to do anything with it. You have it now. Real love is not in a hurry. It's not threatened by your boundaries, your friendships, your pace, or your questions. It shows up consistently, over time, in the boring moments and the hard ones, and it still looks the same. That steadiness isn't boring. That's what safe feels like. And safe is the foundation everything real is actually built on. If this video gave you something useful, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to keep going deeper on the psychology behind how we think, connect, and protect ourselves. Stay sharp out there.